So yet again, another one of those chapters where you're like, what the heck? So a lot of controversy with this Bleach chapter, and to be honest with you, I'm kind of like, because with this Bleach chapter, honestly, the whole thing with Nanao, and seemingly now she's going to be the one to put down the X-axis. Now, Kyoraku is pretty fucked up. But I do want him to still have some sort of helping hand in the defeat of the X-axis, because taking all the logic and everything aside, just looking at it for what it is, you gotta think about it for a second. And granted, yeah, it's a heavenly sword and all this other shit, but Nanao, because of the sword again, but Nanao is about to do what the captain, mind you, Nanao is a lieutenant, but what the captain, along with his Bankai, which was sick as fuck. I love that Bankai, by the way. The Zero Division, the Zero Squad. None of these people could have taken down the X-axis, but Nanao was about to do it. And the whole thing regarding the sword as well. The sword, honestly, I wish it would have been a little bit more built up and a little bit more foreshadowed about these legendary weapons. Now, granted, this could be a cool inclusion, and this could be something interesting and a little bit better, like, okay, do some of the other clans, some of the royal clans, have these interesting and powerful weapons that are meant for specific purposes? Because this one, which again, it just seems very convenient, like, it's meant to take down these heavenly beings, you know, these all-time strong godlike creatures or whatever. So this convenient sword is about to help Nanao take him down, which again, convenient, and at the same time, it's Nanao, a lieutenant, is about to do what Kyoraku couldn't do. So that's where lies, I think, a lot of the controversy with this chapter. Again, the inclusion and now the introduction to these weapons, which again, maybe some of the Shiba clan has some of these things, maybe some of the other royal ones have it, which could be awesome because we could have some really cool fights, but it's like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. I think the decent parts of this chapter was getting a little bit more of Kyoraku's backstory, which, by the way, did anybody else, because I read a couple translations, I read one translation last night when the chapter first dropped, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really hope this is mistranslated, because based on what we get, seemingly Nanao is his niece. Because the person that gave him that kimono, which it was very slight, and if you missed it, you missed it because it was really, really quick, and I don't blame you. But that kimono came from Kyoraku's sister-in-law, which in turn means that Nanao is potentially, unless this kid was born before Kyoraku's brother got with her, ultimately that's his niece. And in the early translations, we read that pretty much she was like in love with Kyoraku, something along the lines of that. Pretty creepy. The cleaned up translation, it was admiration and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with that one instead of the ancestral bullshit that the early translation had. But that's besides the point. And understanding a little bit more about that curse, if you really think about it, even though Kyoraku's sister-in-law was trying to kill the curse, ultimately, yet again, it led its way through to Nanao. And now Nanao is eventually going to be stuck with this curse, which kind of sucks. But in turn, it gives her this great power that she's going to be able to use. So very simple to say with this chapter, honestly. It's unfortunate, but it's a convenient weapon. And a lieutenant is about to do what a captain and, you know, the Zero Division going to do. Granted, again, it's because of this weapon, but the convenience of the weapon was like, come on, bro. Seriously, like, I wanted Kyoraku to do this one, and we get to see his Bankai and everything, and that still isn't enough, which, granted, that kind of makes the X-axis look pretty fucking awesome in the sense that Kyoraku with this legendary Bankai that was never supposed to be seen and used or whatever, ultimately still evaded death from that, but now Nanao is about to do it, which makes me say, I really want Kyoraku to get back up at some given point and have some sort of helping hand in the finale of this fight with the X-axis and Nanao, because I'm like, it almost feels a little anticlimactic because Nanao is just like, she's there. And I mean, Kubo was sort of building it up with the past few chapters of her, like, you know, turning around and coming back to his aid and everything like that. But it's like, I don't know, just feels, again, just But it doesn't necessarily make it a bad chapter. I mean, it still is kind of unpredictable in a way as well, because nobody expected that this Zanpakuto was going to be Nanao's and it was this legendary weapon and stuff like that. So in that aspect, good stuff. Is not completely like a terrible waste or whatever, but it just isn't really what people wanted and what should have happened, honestly. It's like, I don't want to see the X-axis defeated by a lieutenant, but at the same time, it also gives some of the more minor characters a chance to shine in this arc, which it's kind of like one of those arcs where you would think only the big guns are going to be able to do something, which in a sense the weapon is the big gun and not Nanao. But yeah, so with all that being said, the chapter, I want to say 6.5, maybe 6, something like that. It's not what we wanted. It could have been a lot better. Did feel convenient, and at the end of the day, it's like, Nanao, really? But it's because of the weapon, so it's not completely like a 150% ass pull like Nanao's friendship defeated X-axis, which the X-axis still isn't defeated yet, so we can't completely count him out yet, but that weapon's going to do the trick, let's be honest here. Let me know what you think. How do you feel about this weapon coming out of nowhere that's going to help Nanao take down the X-axis? What do you think about the backstory? I want more of that Kyoraku backstory. Like, I would have been fine with honestly 2 weeks straight of a backstory with that because it seems interesting. Any overall thoughts of this? Were any of you trolled by that early translation that made it seem as though Nanao Nanao was in love with her uncle. Like, your real thoughts of this. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that would be amazing. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.